To start, what actually happened, we were still in junior high school, and we got, it was, I don't know if it was the Weekly Reader, Scholastic News, it was one of those types of student magazine things that are distributed all across the country.
We all put our names down, you know, and assign each person an instrument, and, you know, it was kind of just like a joke, and then Chris started taking guitar lessons.
And the way everyone's instruments were designated was actually as a result of that form. So Chad and Chris and Charles both played guitar because of it, and Chris played drums, and I was left with bass.
And at that point is the first time we ever really played any kind of music together. And I mean, it was a joke even then because we didn't know what we were doing at all. None of us knew how to play. We kind of just, you know, fooled around in Chris's basement.
But it was fun, and that was how it all started. At that point, we weren't Red City. That name didn't come into existence for a few more months, maybe close to a year, somewhere there, about 8 months later.
I think the first gig we played as Red City was actually in Chad's house, in his living room, I think it was. And it was kind of just like our friends, and we sucked horribly. Like, we couldn't play at all.
And the original name of the band that we came up with for that was Children of the Meat Monkeys from Hell.
The one anecdote that comes to mind was it was Chad's birthday. So we played his living room for basically all our friends. And I mean, we're 14, 15 at this point. We have little to no money. So I'm playing on a borrowed bass guitar. They're both playing out of electric guitars, and we've got our little drum set, and a real drum set instead of the box and pans. And we've got, I think, 2 amplifiers for vocals, 2 guitars, and a bass. We ended up having to go to Radio Shack 3 times to buy these, I guess they change 1 channel to 2 channels. They're all stereo, but it just doubles your inputs. So we had 3 of those plugged into 1 amplifier for the guitars, and another one for vocals, and it was just an absolute mess. Because 1, we couldn't play, but 2, the equipment was not there. You're running vocals and I think 1 guitar and a bass out of 1 amplifier that's no bigger than a cereal box. So the sound was absolutely abysmal. But it was fun, you know. Everyone we should have just handed out earplugs in retrospect, but we had a good time with it.
Chad Durkins, crazy guy. It was fun to be around. Like, he was the craziest of the bunch, I think, and we just had fun.
We're really good friends. We have been for years. He was my partner in Lawler Records for a little bit. He was in Susie Durkins. He was probably the main songwriter in the Shy Guys.
The way Chad and I started talking was, I was in the 6th grade. He was in the 7th grade. And we had the same gym class. Our 2 classes would meet up at the same gym time. And the very first time we ever actually spoke to each other was, I think it might have been Charles dared him to kiss me. And I think it was for like $1 or something like that. And I was sitting down, and, you know, because I didn't like participating in gym. And Chad ran up to me and kissed me on the lips, and I freaked out. So my friend went up to the teacher and said that Chad had sexually harassed me.
Chad has an excellent musical mind, and you sense that when he writes his songs. He has a good feel of how the song should move. It's just that he was never dedicated to playing guitar. Like, he just learned guitar so he can write songs. And he's gotten better, definitely. But I don't think that trumps the fact that he can write a great song. He can write nice lyrics, make you feel what he's feeling. And in terms of musically, I feel like Chris is a superior mind in the bands.
Charles Camacho is Charles. He's been one of my best friends for 13 years, something like that. He was actually the first person I met at PS 122, where we all went to a new school together.
Charles teaches sign language to penguins somewhere in the world. I don't know. He does something like that.
He's quite the interesting character. There's no one I've ever met like him. He's like a workaholic, ambitious, just caring, just busy, he's just a great person. And he's right now in the Peace Corps. If that kind of sums up everything for him, I think so.
I first met Charles when I was like 5 or 6, moved in right in next, he always lived here. I moved in, and we pretty much became friends right from the very beginning. We just did some crazy things from the very beginning, get in trouble. Charles was a good guy. We were very close, just a really intelligent guy. And we just sat down and we would just sit and just like talk for hours. And we would have no problem just sitting around here and just talking, going at like ridiculous things, and no one else would want to be around us and what we were talking about.
Chris was the silent one. Oh, Chris Grivet was the silent one.
He's always depressed. He's always complaining about something. No, he's one of the greatest guys I've ever met. I love Grivet.
Chris made huge strides, because when we said you were going to play drums, it's not like he wanted to play drums, at least what I can remember. It's just like, okay, drums are left, you want to play drums? And I remember one funny anecdote with Tony Alaprantis when we first went to record, and Chris, for the first time, sat in front of like a professional drum set and with his shitty pedal, and they had to test the drums, and getting drum sound takes a while, at least an hour, you know, especially for us where we had like an 8-hour, 9-hour budget. And Tony comes out after 5 seconds, like, I'm gonna kill it, I'm gonna kill Chris, because he just wasn't hitting the drums hard enough.
Drummers aren't people.
Johnny Woe, I met him through Charles, and then I went to high school with him. Like, Johnny was he was just a good kid. I remember no matter he was one of those guys, if you needed something, he would help you out. You know, while you may have disagreed on some things, but he was just a good, he was a good kid.
Well, he's a character, that guy. He's one of my best friends. He's a really good guy, you know.
I think recently John has moved much more towards wanting to produce music. He's very serious about his record company, and he's always on the lookout for new stuff, which I admire, because I'm kind of lazy when it comes to that. I'm not really listening to too much music lately as much as composing it. So John's much more into learning what other people are doing.
He really had his idea, he had his idea in high school to start a label, and he did it, and he really, pushes it. He's a hard worker, and he's a good guy.
I never really took the band to be professional. I mean, we were in school. It was kind of just something we did that was fun. We were very much into it. It was a very important part of my life, and a very important aspect of what I was doing. I wouldn't consider it professional, though. We never really made money from it. I never saw it to be, what I would do when I grow up, as a career or anything like that. Although I would love to, but it was kind of always secondary to everything else.
I like Triple Bypass. I like the music. I thought it was sometimes a bit dark at times. Similar dark comedy kind of. Sometimes it was just it was weird and interesting, and it was a little off center of whatever everybody else was doing in punk rock. So I just thought it was interesting, just because it had that dark kind of quality to it.
The first gig they played, I remember, was at this little shithole called the Raw or something like that, and it was in Bayside or Flushing or some shit.
Halfway through the first song, I just fell over, I just tipped over because I was wobbling on the seat there. They kept playing because the way we always played was if you mess up, just keep going. I fall over, the drums stop, everyone is still playing, looking at me what's going on, and I get back up on my knees and I start playing the drums. While on my knees, I finish the song out, and I get a chair. And when I finish, everyone is clapping. Everyone's laughing because I fell over, but it was all right. It was cool.
Jesus Christ! Oh my! Okay, let's do some intros. This is Triple Bypass. That's John with the bass. Okay, that's enough. That's Chris, who just fell off his drum set. That's Charles on guitar and vocals. Sorry for the technical difficulty. Okay, this is called a warm-up song. 1, 2, 3, 4.
asked to play like a fundraiser type thing, where Charles's girlfriend at the time was involved in setting it up. I don't know if it was for like World Children or something like that. And we have to get there. We have no ride because we're like 17 years old. We have no car. No one has a license or anything like that. So it's the dead of winter. And the way we get our equipment from Astoria to Stuyvesant High School, which is all the way in downtown Manhattan, is what we call the triple bypass touring van, which was a shopping cart. And we've got, you know, I've got 2 guitars, an amplifier, cymbals, the bass, stuff like that. And we're pushing the shopping cart to the train station. And we actually lift the shopping cart up, get it on the N train, take the N train all the way down to I think Chambers, and then we walk to Stuyvesant pushing the shopping cart to get to the show. We sit down, we play like a 20-minute set, and I don't know, Charles is the rock star personality, so something he didn't like about the show, and at the end of the song, he just takes his guitar, just drops it, and walks off stage. And me and Chris are kind of like just sitting there looking at each other like, what the hell just happened? And we had to break down all the equipment by ourselves as he's left the guitar just on the floor, just now completely out of tune and just feeding back very loudly as the entire crowd is kind of doing this, like, what the hell just happened? And he didn't talk to anybody for another 20 minutes afterwards. It was hilarious.
We'd always work recording sessions basically, you know, just kind of dig up whatever money you can. We always split it equally, and just, you know, whatever amount of money you can bring. We always split it in 4. It was kind of hard because you're getting into like, you know, a few $100s every time each person, especially once you go to the better recording studios. It's costing more money, taking more time to do it, and that was kind of hard. Sometimes I have to borrow money from my parents, or, you know, save up money for my job. In Triple Bypass, we did some odd jobs for Tony, who ran Ragnarok Studios.
We walked down the stairs, see this tall dude with long black hair and a beard. We were scared shitless. We're like, this guy is scary looking. We ended up being very friendly with Tony. He was excited. He's like, wow, with these young guys I never recorded before, I'm going to teach them a lot tomorrow. A whole lot of songs for that short time, and we just jammed them out and sounded like shit. I remember that night we actually talked about mass distribution, man. Then we listened to it the next day and we're like, oh man, this doesn't sound so good.
And he hooked us up for about $20 an hour, and this was a completely pro studio. I mean, 64 tracks, equipment up to high hell with ISO booths, everything. It was, at the time, we just thought that's what all recording studios would look like due to the movies and TV.
We rewired and gutted the whole place and put more wires in the ground, made it smaller, got the room recertified again because it's acoustically correct, live and dead end listening environment.
We don't have all of our own equipment, and we went to Tony and asked him, you know, could we borrow a drum throne, which is the chair? And he's like, yeah, it's no problem. But guys, I absolutely need it back tomorrow. There's no 2 ways about it. I've got a session. I need it, I need it, I need it. And we're like, okay, yeah, it's no problem. So we swing by there, we pick it up, and we head over to the show. We play the show. We all go home, and then like, I don't know, Wednesday that following week, because this was like a Friday night, I talked to Charles and I was like, did you drop off that throne? And he's like, oh no, I completely forgot. So that Friday, the 3 of us go, we knock on his door, holding the drum throne, and we're all a little afraid because we don't know how he's going to react, since he said, you know, bring this back almost a week ago, and we haven't yet. So we're standing, Charles is in front, I'm standing in the middle, and Chris is in the back. Seriously, the door opens up. He's wearing I think an Army of Darkness or a Heart of Darkness t-shirt with a hole on it, hot pink Animaniac sweatpants, and the man's holding a shotgun. And we're like, oh my God. I really thought my life was over at that point. And he's like, as happy as can be. He's like, hey guys, come on in. I'm just cleaning my Civil War shotguns. Why don't you hang out for a while? Could care less that we didn't bring the throne back in time. And he was just like super happy to see us. But the fear of death was in my heart at that instant. I really thought it was over for all of us.
I love Triple Bypass because they were real punk. They were raw, which is what punk should be. I mean, you know, they were 15. They were kids. They played as well as they played, and it was real. It wasn't, you know, any of that processed baloney, artificial Hormel meat crap, you know. It was honest.
I'm just looking for a little romance. I'm not trying to in your pants. I'm a little nervous, but I'll still take the chance. Oh, girl, may I have this dance? 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 I don't know what you think about me. All I know is what I see. I'm in love with a capital.
Susie Durkins was my first band. Chris and I, Chris, my lifetime partner, we started Susie Durkins, named after the female from Calvin and Hobbes, the little girl.
We had different people come down and play bass. We had, in the beginning, I think it was like, actually John came down and played bass for us a few times. I think we had this kid Michael Finkler, who went to junior high school and high school with us. I think he came down to play bass once or twice. And then we had this kid from high school, Dave Herman, play bass for us. He was like our first, he was supposed to be like our official bassist, but he really, I think he only practiced with us a few times, and we recorded one song with him, and that was it. That was like, I think like sophomore, junior year of high school.
Eventually Mike Finnerty, who's a guy that lives about 2 blocks away from my house, he's a saint, he's the nicest guy you'll ever hope to know, and he just wanted to fuck around, be in a band. So this big, like, hardcore dude joined the, like, little pop punk band, the little goofiest, dopiest pop punk band you could imagine. Just the craziest, goofiest shit. You know, really elementary songwriting, but I was trying to be funny. We were just totally winging it. We had no idea how to record, we didn't know how to play. We just wanted to get these dopey songs on tape, which, you know, to this day, my main goal is to always get my songs on tape, you know, just so if nothing else, something has been captured.
And at that point, you know, it was great. Susie Durkins was just fun. Like, we were just playing songs and stuff, and Mike was great. And well, me and Chris wanted to start playing shows. Like, we wanted to get the band out, record some songs, playing shows. Mike was cool with recording. We recorded a demo at his place. Charles and John recorded it on Charles's 4-track. That went pretty well. And then we recorded with Adam, and then we recorded at Tony's studio, like 13 songs or something crazy like that. But Mike never really wanted to play shows. Like, we played the first one, and he was all right, but like, he just, I don't know if he was embarrassed or if he didn't really like the music that we were playing or whatever, but he didn't really like to play shows. So I think Susie Durkins only played 3 shows, the last one being with Triple Bypass. It went pretty well though. We had a lot of fun. All our friends came down. You know, it was just a good time. We had a show scheduled at Castle Heights, and it was on a Friday, and like, we call up Mike, we're like, all right, you ready to go to the show? And he's like, nah man, like, I'm hungover, I don't want to come, like, I'm not gonna be able to play, I'm not gonna go. And we were like, all right man, you know, what are we gonna do? So we had to cancel, we had to call up and cancel. We call him the next day and we're like, you know, what's up man, like, are you all right? He's like, yeah, he's like, I don't think I want to play in the band anymore. And we're like, all right, what are you gonna do? You know, I mean, he was really doing us a favor, you know, he wasn't really into the music, and he was just a friend of ours who played bass, and that was cool, you know. But we were kind of disappointed because we were really into the band at that time, and it's so hard finding like a bassist. Like, it's the easiest thing to play, man. You play one string. How hard is that to do, you know? But you can never find a bassist. Never.
Lately, a few people have told me that they've listened to Susie Durkins and found it really funny, so that makes me really happy. And it was just a great experience for the first band.
I thought Susie Durkins is a cool pop punk band. Chris is a very clever songwriter. I think musically, it's, you know, simple stuff. Not that Triple Bypass or Red City were anything more complicated. But lyrically, he has a way with words, and he has a way of expressing himself. And the problems that he faces, you know, teenage angst, problems at home, school, trying not to fit in because you just don't.
It was fun while it lasted. I had a great time. I love that band, you know, but basically we went from that right into the Shy Guys, you know.
Triple Bypass probably lived within 5 or 10 minutes of where I lived in Astoria, but I never knew them. until we traded tapes or records in the mail. And I think they had the impression that Egghead had some kind of draw or some kind of ability to get shows in New York. So at one point I met up with them, and they took me out for pizza, and we started talking, and at one point Charles, the guitar player, said, "All right, let's just get to the point. Can you help us get shows?" I said, I appreciate your honesty, but no. We're playing weekdays at shitty places in Manhattan and drawing to 20 people, and then a month later we play the same club, same crappy time to a different set of 20 people. So it was hard for us to get shows, yet alone help someone else. It seemed like they recorded their early practices for their first tape, so you got to see the early stuff, and then bit by bit, each time they put something else out, it would get better. And then, of course, they broke up when they got to the height of the best material, and I guess that led into the Shy Guys.
Every time I see your face, makes me wonder about my place. In your heart I wish to be.
We recorded the 7-inch Memories We Never Had, which was the last thing we did. That was, I think, the best thing we did also. It sounded the best songs we had. And funny enough, all those songs were written about the girl who Charles was going out with before that I started going out with. And that created some tension within the band, I think, between me and him, although it never really fully came out, but it was a little tension. And at that point I was going to school in Albany, and John and Charles were down here, so it was hard to do stuff. And I don't know, I was kind of getting fed up with the band, and they wanted to do things I didn't want to do, and vice versa.
I think we were just tired of just playing us, the three of us, and Chris was writing great songs, and we wanted to do something together. So we started the Shy Guys, which is sort of reuniting of Red City, right? Except much better.
Any requests from the Militello family at this point in time? Gunslinger. Okay, you got it.
Musically, the Shy Guys opened up a lot. Basically, we had a whole different songwriter coming into the mix, and that changed it from the start. Also, we added a whole other guitar, which opened up my playing a lot because I didn't have to be so steady and the same thing over and over again, because if Charles in Triple Bypass is doing the lead, I really have to keep the rhythm the same, and I can't do anything crazy or even out there in the risk of losing it completely for the show if we're playing live. But with the Shy Guys, what happens is you add a whole other guitar, and as a result, that guitar player can keep the rhythm while the other guitarist is maybe playing a lead or doing something different, and then the bass can do something different at the same time. Also, we got just so much better musically, because starting a band when you're 15, let's say, versus starting a band when you're almost 20, 19, 20, there's 5 extra years of playing and a lot of learning. So we did quite a few things differently.
The Shy Guys had a whole series of CDRs that were like full-length albums, and if they were to put the best of those things together, they would have a really great record, but I don't know if that would ever happen.
So basically who was left was me, Charles, John, and Chris, which we all started out as Red City. It was really exciting when the Shy Guys started, because it was always felt like something was missing, I guess, from both bands, because it wasn't all, like the 4 of us, And in the beginning, it felt really solid to have the 4 of us, and because we've known each other for so long, we're all good friends, and having Chris's songwriting balanced with Charles' songwriting, which is very different, as well as their vocal stylings and their guitar playing, like just 2 ends of the spectrum, and having all our different input. We've always taken the band to be a democracy. Each person gets their say. Each person puts in their input, and then we